So it's still 7 p.m. according to my computer, so we'll start on time. Um, and we have myself and Lynn and John and Jordan, correct? And then Heidi and Miranda can be elevated. Am I correct? So let's do that. Um, I know Karen can't make it, and I don't. Oh, and here's Kate. Good. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. Um, and Matt is going to declare he's abstaining.
I, Matthew Bussey, Park and Recreation Director, and am abstaining from voting this evening.
So, approval of agenda. Are there any additions or subtractions?
I'd like
Yeah.
to add one item.
Only one, Matt. Only one.
Only one. Under the director's report, item 8C, additional purchase of portable stage.
Additional purchase of a portable cage.
Stage. STAGE.
Okay.
I don't know what I would do with a portable cage, but
I don't know. I thought it
I
was
could
for the dog park.
run around every park, catch some animals.
I've got
Okay, so
portable
that'll
stage.
be 8C. All right.
wait, hang on. I've got two things if I could, if that's all right. Under 10, would be A would be for part-time park and rec secretary. And B would be Kent Center School playing field updates. So 10A and 10B.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else? Very good. So we'll go to item 5, approval of
Rufus, you need to vote.
the
On the
July
changes.
15th regular meeting
Rufus,
minutes.
you need to vote on the agenda changes.
What?
We need to vote on the agenda changes. They were just proposed.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I'm just going. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Who is that?
Heidi.
Heidi. And all in favor?
Aye.
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 And opposed? Okay. It passes. So now let's go to approval of the July 15th minutes.
So moved. So moved.
John, you move to approve them?
Yes, please.
Is there a second? Jordan? Discussion.
I have some amendments that I'd like to propose. There were a few motions that weren't really accurately reflected in the minutes. The first one is the motion regarding sign off for Matt's time, requesting time off. The motion needs to read to get a sign off from the Park and Recreation Commission. Well, actually, it says commission, it needs to say chairman, commission chairman, and first selectman when requesting time off. So that's one thing I think we need to alter. We had discussed that we would do the same thing that planning and zoning does with Ty Kern. And that's my recollection of what we talked about.
Yes, that is my mistake for writing. I forgot to write chairman, so I apologize about that. And I recognize that after it was submitted. So I was raising
Okay.
my hand to make that edit. Yep.
Okay,
So we're on the same
Um,
page, so thank you.
cool. The other motion was regarding the RFP. The motion was not actually amended. I don't believe that we actually amended the motion. The motion was to approve the submitted new programs, the additional dog obedience program, and requesting an RFP for the tennis court resurfacing, but it really should have said that Matt will develop the RFP for the tennis court resurfacing and the commission will see it before it goes out. That part was left off.
That part I put under item 1 that I would request, so Bussy can present the RFP request to the commission prior to it going out. It was amended because the initial motion was that that the RFP was going to get approved, or for me to just go ahead and do it. And then I do recall from what I watched in the videos too, and looking at the conversation as closed captioned, that it was amended because I didn't put that phrase in when we initially made the motion. And then we discussed.
I listened to the motion on the recording and it was clear that we were saying the commission will see it before it goes out.
So it wasn't an amendment, it was just the clear motion that that's what we're doing. So I can remove the amendment part and just add it into the initial motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments or amendments? So John, how do you, okay, is it all right with your motion to approve the minutes with the two
Changing. Yeah, I do.
changes?
I do.
Yeah,
All good?
I think Jordan said,
right, it wasn't me, yeah.
All right. All those in favor of the amended minutes?
aye.
Right.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Good. Okay. Now on to item 6, correspondence. Any correspondence come in after? Matt, no, nothing. Item number 7, public comment. Anybody, no public to make comment?
You're getting away easy today.
I know. Okay, director's report.
Yes.
Go ahead, Matt.
All right, so I'd like to add in just a few things. Upon submission, it did not take everything that I wrote. So just to fill in the blank on the Team Reach part, Team Reach is an application it's a mobile application that is allowed for those that are signed up for a specific league or group can go ahead and create events and communicate with one another. And if they want to, for example, play pickleball, and there's a group of 4 people that want to play pickleball on Thursday at 2 p.m., and they're all available, I can give them the code from Team Reach and they can go ahead and connect and play pickleball. It's a great way for our community to interact and connect and be able to do things. So I worked with Andrea Shuney, who was brave to spearhead it and to test it out and test the waters with it after hearing that Sherman does it and another town does it as well. And we created one for pickleball, one for basketball, and then one for hiking as well. So we have 3 Team Reach leagues available. So we're going to start sending out that information to the pickleball folk, to the basketball players, and then I'm going to start doing it for those that went hiking with us this past summer at Emery Park, so that we can get a group together. And if there's a group that wants to hike Emery Park together, but they know that the people that they went with were fantastic and they feel comfortable hiking with them, but they don't want to go alone. They can try to see if someone's available instead of having to swap cell phone numbers. This is a great way for people to just interact, and it's monitored so I can view it, and it's a free platform. I haven't paid for the ad removal yet, but it's all under the auspice of me.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Any
And then
comments? No? Go ahead.
And then just one more, in addition to just looking at programs, I am shifting my focus to focus more on teen programs and senior programming, to allow the opportunity for us to collaborate with different individuals in town and different entities in town, and then also provide some experiences for the teens and seniors here in town. I noticed that right now teen programming is limited, and then senior programming, it is starting to grow even more, and I'd love to contribute to it and focus a little bit more on the fitness aspect and the leisure aspect, allowing seniors to enjoy themselves and come to different places here in town to enjoy just what the community has to offer. So I'm starting to shift focus onto those two specific areas as we have really great adult programming going, which I'm not losing focus on that. We really started an uphaul in it with pickleball, with the hiking, and then with basketball starting to come back. And then with our youth programming, we have some great things going on. Camp was fantastic this year, hearing some great feedback from parents. ASP is going to be kicking off soon. And then we have a bunch of other sports programs. And I'm also exploring some non-traditional sports programs for us to offer. So really starting to offer as much as I can to the community, but also collaborate so that it's not just under the entire auspice of Park and Recreation, but we are working together as a community, really just offering what we can to the people who live here.
Good, good.
And that's it for me. I'm here to answer any questions or if there's any comments on it.
I have a question. Is
Sure.
that why your reference to trying to divest from doing senior lunches is that you want to focus on other things?
No, actually, that was a conversation that Rosemary had with me, that there's the interest of social services wanting to take on the senior lunches. So that was completely unentertained by me in the beginning. Rosemary just approached me and I said I wanted to talk to you guys about it. So that was nothing that I suggested, but I appreciate that social services wants to take that on because I know it's been a comment in the community, but I'm happy to entertain that conversation with the commission.
When you say a comment that it's confusing to them why there's different lunches, or?
I'm thinking back to when I came in my second week working and I presented the budget, and there were the comments circulating about Park and Rec offering the senior lunches and social services offering the senior lunches, and that blurred line. So that's what when in that conversation with Rosemary, that's pretty much the starting point of why that thought process began and that blurred line. And we have, I see that they're doing the lunch and learns, which is fantastic. And we do the lunches for them to engage and socialize and connect, which is fantastic. But it seems to be a lot of what a social services department and a senior center has been offering. So I wanted to bring it to you guys to talk a little bit about it. So I'm comfortable with social services taking on if they are fully committed to taking on senior lunches. I'm happy to work with Barbara to do an end of the year budget transfer if we need to do a budget transfer. Does it mean that we're going to completely eliminate lunch concepts out of Park and Recreation? No. Let's say we're going to go to the Christmas tree shop in Danbury, or we're going to go to the mall in Danbury, or we're going to go somewhere and then we're going to come back and have lunch, or have lunch while we're out and we take a group of seniors out on a trip, or we take them here in town and we do something here in town and we offer lunch. That's, still within confines of the program, but it's not defining it as a specific lunch for the seniors.
To me, it makes sense for the social services to be more involved with the seniors on a regular basis, like with lunches. I could see us getting involved if we get things that, and maybe we could do something akin to like how can school kids come and volunteer at the nursery schools and things like that. If we find kids who would want to have like a game hour, that's one of the things that I know the senior center in New Milford has kids coming in. So, I mean, I could see us getting involved with that kind of recreational programming for seniors. But I don't think it's detracts from us if we're not directly involved with the lunches. So that's my 2 cents worth.
And just to add on to that, we're a little unique in this town as the senior center is falling under social services. Usually in some other municipalities here in Connecticut, the senior center falls under Park and Recreation. So it would then be natural for Park and Recreation to offer the senior lunches, for example, New Milford or up in Salisbury. But here we have two different entities that are entertaining senior programming. And just to really make it more defined, it makes sense for social services to be offering more of a steady lunch and to be taking on that responsibility wholeheartedly. So I echo what Rufus said with, with programming and in regards to programs, and then just giving some more feedback on kind of taking that line and making it less blurry.
I can understand, trying to make it clearer to people. But I would be sad if we had, if the seniors had less opportunities for lunch because of the change. That would not be fun.
Yeah, no,
Because
I
I think
agree
it has been
100%.
nice, and it has been nice to have activities on Fridays, which they were not able to have prior to Park and Rec doing lunches.
That's a good point, Lynn. If social services is not doing the same number of lunches, then that would be a loss. But we can see what they're doing.
So would it be a good, so I know I put in my report that the first senior lunch would be a specific date in September. I only put that in there because I wanted to talk about this concept first with you guys instead of firming it up and saying that we're committing to it. But would the commission feel comfortable if we made the decision that we would be happy to allow senior services to take over our lunch programming as long as they offer it to the same capacity in which we did, which is once per month from September to June?
Great.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why don't we do that?
Okay.
And then if we want to do something for special occasions, there's no reason why we can't do it through hosting a lunch where we talk about upcoming programs or this, that, or the other thing and go from there. So the senior trip, the hike that had a lot of, I know New Milford had a lot of people come up for that. Were there a lot of Kent seniors that went on that too? And would they want to do more of that?
We had about 7 or 8 from what I recall.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately was unable to continue with the hike because I came back to set up for the lunch. But from the feedback that I got from the few seniors that did come back to the senior center that were Kent residents, they did have interest in doing more of the hiking. I know that the seniors do, I've spoken to a few and they do have interest in doing more with walking. I know that the aqua aerobics and just the aquatics aspect has been a huge hit. And I'd like to really invest more time in that so we can be able to make it happen. And I know arts and crafts is a big one. I know seniors want to gather around and do crafts. And to me, making lunch and having a lunch, for example, having like a full-on hamburger and fries while we do art, as we do painting, to me seems a little much. for that, or doing finger sandwiches with paint. It just, paint and food just don't necessarily mix. So I want to try to focus a lot on those programs and then allow senior services to take on those lunches. And if seniors want, I'm hearing the feedback from seniors, the arts programs, the outdoors programs, getting motivated, the aquatics programs, those are the three major things that I'm hearing as buzzwords from the seniors. And I would really like to start focusing on those more now that we have some opportunity.
I think definitely with the art, and it was fascinating to me to see the Kent Land Trust program with the fairy and gnome houses. It was like 90% adults, and many of them were seniors.
I heard about that. And you know what?
Yeah.
That would be awesome to offer something like that.
So
for
like
the
a
seniors.
creative artistic program where they could do something different.
Yeah. And that would take place on Fridays. If we were to do the special programming, I think Fridays would be the best day to do these kinds of programs. I'm noticing that a lot of programming doesn't take place in the community on Fridays from the town perspective. So I think this would be a great opportunity for us to jump in on a Friday and offer something to the community.
Would it make sense to say that we would do it quarterly? That way, social services know that they have eight months that they're taking over, and then we just, that way you can have like a seasonal event that can be recreational as well as maybe finger foods or something along those lines, but not something different than just a traditional luncheon.
I like that idea. So instead of having social services take on the lunch part, we just do something quarterly or every season essentially.
Yeah, yeah. So that we can still, so yeah,
I like that.
if they're doing something monthly, we do something quarterly. That's a lot of activities. And then you can really focus in on the other activities along with, it might be a group swim where you're trying to get more people involved in the swimming program, or
Right.
a hike to get more people coming to the parks, or it could, whatever it might be that you want to encourage, or it could be a cornhole lesson and come to the tournament. You can, that type of a thing, to have it be a part of the programming that you're encouraging.
I like that. I like that a lot. And maybe we do something like that where we do offer, we offer quarterly major programs for seniors on Fridays, and then connect with social services and budget out with them how much it would cost for them to take on the lunches for the other times.
And don't forget that Karen is our liaison. So
Yes.
she would, we would work with making sure she's available to be at anything that we do. Keep that up.
Yeah.
And I think that if you think about it, Matt, that there's quite a few seniors that are like, early 60s to, if you sort of think about it that way when you're planning this stuff, you might get more people, more different people to come rather than the 80 plus that has been traditional at the senior lunches that
Yeah.
social services have done. So if you have more activities, you might pull in some people that haven't really participated yet.
Definitely. I can definitely gear
That's what
towards the early
Roberts
60s.
definitely did. There was a wider range of ages there, because I was there as the youngest. At just 60, but I still qualified.
I mean, I know that there are a lot of Kent seniors that go down to the New Milford Senior Center to participate in activities they have down there. And it would be good to see if we could, like you mentioned cornhole. People in New Milford get really riled up over their cornhole, and they go down and play New Fairfield, and they play other towns, and it's like this big thing. They really get into it. So Kent should probably take advantage of things like that.
That would be awesome.
Um,
And second place cornhole competition folks were seniors. They're seniors who attend our events and who help out with our programs. And just seeing those seniors smile and really come in second place and really try their hardest for cornhole just really speaks to me about what you're saying, Rufus. Yeah, that would be fantastic to have that something like that happen.
yeah. Um, I know this is not really necessarily something on the agenda, but with the seniors, did you get anywhere with Michelle Mott talking about whether we could use the school bus?
I'm waiting on Kerma to give me a COI.
Okay,
I'm still waiting for a response.
all right.
Yep.
What does that acronym mean? Certificate of Insurance?
Yep, certificate of
Yeah.
insurance. So once we get the certificate of insurance or COI from Kerma, we can go ahead and just give it to Michelle. I'm just waiting for something from them in writing so that I can print it out and or save it as PDF and send it right over to the school so that they have it and we can start using the activity bus.
All right. What is next, Matt, on your report?
So the next thing is the approval of the prospective programs. So the 4 programs I'm proposing, one is our yoga program with Dawn, and the other 3 are aquatics programs with Mo. I spoke with Mo, and Mo is only available right now starting in October. She has a lot of weddings to go to in September and a lot of travel as well, so she won't be available. And then Dawn is not able to start until October as well, so these programs would be our October starts. So I'm asking for a motion to approve the 4 programs presented for Mindful Yoga with Dawn, Adult Lap Swim, October session, swim lessons with Mo, and aqua aerobics October session. At the times listed in the document, at the prices listed in the document.
Matt, were you able to have any other outreach? Because one of the things that came out of your survey was that we need more evening and weekend activities for adults.
Yep.
I know that's a problem for the yoga at 4 o'clock for a lot of people. So were you able to, have you
Yep.
been able to do any outreach to find an alternative instructor, date and
I've
time?
connected with the Y for Western Regional. I know that they're having a difficult time finding instructors so that they can teach classes up here and we can collaborate. So that's one thing, is just that difficulty of finding instructors. I have been looking through to see if I can find instructors for the area. A lot of them aren't local enough. When I was talking to Lisa up in Lakeville, or Salisbury as the park and rec director, she was looking for someone to teach her aqua aerobics class, and there really wasn't anybody available to teach her aqua aerobics classes in the area other than Mo. So I am doing a deep dive to see what we can do. I did speak with one individual who is interested, but they just need to look at their schedule and provide me with some information so that we can go ahead and make a proposal for boot camps and for other fitness activities as well for adults and for kids. So I am making some headway with it. The area, there is interest and there are instructors. However, it's a little saturated at the moment with what instructors are doing. So I want to try to break into that field and have people come on up here. So I'm trying to make it not an inconvenience for them, but offering them the evening times, offering them early morning times. So I have been doing some outreach with it. I've been doing as much as I can with it to try to get people up here and doing a lot of research behind it as well. So so yes, Lynn, I got you. I'm definitely working on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, Dawn couldn't like push it back to like 4:30, or it's really set for 4.
It's set for 4 to 5, but if we approve it, I can have a conversation with her, and if we need to make an amendment to the program, I will present it for an amendment.
Isn't there Tai Chi that same night though?
There is. Yep. Oh yeah, at 5. Yeah. I can ask Dawn if she can do another day. I can ask Dawn if she can do twice a week and do something later in the evening. So I'm happy to explore that option with Dawn while I explore other contractors to come in to teach programs.
And the other question I had about this was, particularly with the Kent School, pool use.
Mhm.
Have you, it looks like the exact same fees that we've charged in the past. And previously we talked about the fact that we needed to make sure that we financially it made sense. So is there any changes to the finances or?
Based on what the budget was looking at and based on what Jared proposed, no. It all stays it aligns with that front. However, it was trying to meet the goal of netting out with a full participation. So that would specifically be for the swim lessons and for the aqua aerobics. With the adult lap swim, if we're charged $250 an hour by the Kent School to use the pool, so if we're doing that for 4 weeks, that's $1,000. If we're charging people $40 and we're getting 20 people in the door, that's $80 or $800. So we would be hitting with a deficit when it comes to lap swim because we also have to pay Mo as a lifeguard or as whoever she brings in as a lifeguard. So there is that deficit when it comes to lap swim. And based on previous comments, I know that we've discussed that if we had to take a hit on this program, we would take a hit. So I didn't know if that's how the commission felt at the moment, if that's where we should be going. I know we're not a revenue generating organization. I can restructure these program fees to be a little more and, a little more focused on that. But the other concern is that we're going to be charging a significant amount for lap swim. So for $40, to me, when it comes to adult lap swim, $40 for 4 days for 4 hours, that's a decent chunk of change to only swim for 5 hours, an hour 15. So we're multiplying that by 4 or 5 hours at $40. That's to me just seems to be a lot to be charging folks or a limit. If we charge more, I don't think we'll get people. And I'm genuinely concerned that we won't have the folks to participate. And it would be just 3 people and we would really take a hit on those programs. But I'm happy to entertain the conversation of restructuring program fees. I'm happy to, if we need to postpone approval of this, I'm happy to postpone approval of this.
I don't want to postpone approval. I just think you need to be much more upfront about the costs. If it's breaking even, if you anticipate it's going to break even, that's fine. But if we're going to lose money, I think you need to highlight that to the commission members so they're aware. I mean, I think there's huge value in all of the aquatic programs. I mean, I would never speak against aquatic programs, but I'm just talking about transparency.
Yeah, and I know that we highlighted in previous meetings that we would be taking a hit on this program, and I know that my predecessor did highlight it. So if
But
that's
there's
something,
new people on the commission who
Right.
may not have
So
heard that. So
would you like me in future documents to put that we would be met with a deficit?
Well, there would be, like, if you presented the program and just simply said we would need, 8, 10 participants at this price to break even, or, just give us an idea. I think there are going to be programs we might decide to keep, even if they're going to lose a little bit of money. But if you wanted to do something and only 2 or 3 people sign up and we're gonna spend $1,000 for 3 people to do something, that's probably not reasonable.
Agreed. Yeah. And I
So,
think that's sensible in
know-
that part. So I'm happy to put that in there as a break-even point. All other programs that I put forward, a break-even point would be stressed on what the minimum number would be.
right.
Yep.
One of the things you could add in on the lap swim, and actually any of the aquatic programs, is that a one-time use. So like if I had company in and I wanted to bring somebody with me, we could just go in, log in, and they could pay the $10 for a one-day use. I think you might get more, part-time residents to come. They can't commit to the full 8 weeks, but hey, I can get to it's kind of like a gym membership thing where I can get there for that one day to swim, I'll come.
Ooh.
And just have them sign up online. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. I could definitely, when I create the program on MyRec, I can have it so that people can just log in and pay per use instead of just paying for, they can pay for the whole package, or they can just pay for the day.
Right, and this
Or
is
for
for
the
a 4-week
for the time.
program?
Yep, that's a 4-week program. So yeah,
Yeah,
that would
so
make
put
sense.
it in at $15 a pop. Somebody's up visiting, it's like, come with me, if you wanna go for a swim, it's worth a try.
Yeah,
Look at it.
I can definitely do that.
I think that's smart, Heidi. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And typically,
Okay.
oh, sorry, I had one comment.
Go ahead, Jordan.
My previous job, we structured our payment system like that. And typically if you paid for like a one-time, it was a horseback riding lesson, you would pay a little bit more per lesson as opposed to you paying for the entire package. It was a package of 4. It was the same structure. So I don't know, maybe if you charged a couple dollars more for the one-time use as opposed to what you would pay for the package might seem a little bit more enticing.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know if everybody could read what Claire was saying, exactly
Yeah.
the same thing, the
Yeah.
$15 fee as well. I don't know if everybody can see it.
Yeah. So we can do a $15 if you sign up just for the day, or if you sign up for the package, it's $40.
Give it a go.
Right. Claire's agreeing with that too in the chats. Good. Any other comments? So can we have a motion to accept the mindful yoga and the swim programs?
Will we be, but as far as the mindful yoga, would we do a one-time, can we try a one-time thing there as well, or just for the aquatics? Like if somebody just wants to pay for the one class there in town.
I would think that if somebody wanted to come in and do a one-time thing, would that be possible, Matt?
So Dawn has a specific limit on number of people that can attend. That's the only
Okay.
reason why she has a
Okay.
cap on what she can teach.
She's never hit that maximum.
I know.
And I've taken every single one of her classes.
I know, and that's the one. So maybe we do open it up if we can go ahead and make an amendment to the program proposal to introduce that. And then when we introduce this item, it would be only until we reach a maximum. So let's say that
Right, there's a trigger point. that
There's a
you can-
trigger
you can-
point.
You can register for it, but then there's only 3 spots available. There's only 2 spots
Yep.
available.
So we can definitely do that. And I do have the capability of card pay outside of MyRec. So let's say that Dawn's teaching the class at the community house and she wants to pay, she can use our card reader to just swipe the card and collect payment, or people can pay with the QR code. So we have 2 methods that are available for payment. And also I can go ahead and create the program so that in MyRec you can, let's say you select 5 days instead of 6 for yoga, and you go ahead and just do the 5 days, you would pay that times what the daily amount would be, times 5. So that's totally a feasible option. And that's actually what I'm doing, how I'm structuring after school program. So I'm structuring after school so that parents can register much further out in advance, but they can select all the days that they want or
Nice.
don't want.
Yeah.
So it's taking a little bit longer than expected because there are some maneuvers that I am performing so that it can just capture everything at once for just like, emergency contacts and who's there for pickup, instead of having to ask it 180 times or so on. So camp families, Claire, you might understand you had to answer everything twice per child because you registered for 2 weeks, or you had to answer it 3 times per child if you registered for 3 weeks. So or thrice per child. So that is something I am modifying with MyRec, and it's taking a little bit longer because there's some just the way that the program is structured to just introduce it, but we can definitely do that. So if we're looking at $90 divided by 6,
15 shots.
15 a shot. So let's say in order to take yoga, if you were to drop in, it's $20.
And
Yeah.
it's perfectly reasonable if people come in and say, hey, can I get into a class, for you to say, I'm sorry that it's full. We've hit the maximum, so.
Yeah.
And let's hope we get there.
I agree. I hope we get there.
Okay, good. So let's have a motion to approve those 4 programs. The 3 swim programs and the mindful yoga.
With the amended items per discussion.
Yes,
So moved.
thank you, Lynn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, John. Jordan? All right, all those in favor? Signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay.
And
Motion
just
carried.
one more comment on this exact section. In my report, I wrote that the pumpkin run, I'm working on it with the Chamber of Commerce. Park and Rec in the past has donated $250 for the pumpkin run because the pumpkin run folks take on the registration, and I oversee the just start and go of the run, and I also purchased some swag as well for the runners. But back in July of last year, in the regular meeting, there was a motion for approving a $250 donation from Park and Recreation to the Kent Chamber of Commerce for the pumpkin run. So I wanted to discuss that a little bit with the commission and then see if that is a motion that we can make or if there is further discussion on that item. That's apparently that's been historic from what I've spoken to Ann Starr, and I'm forgetting the other individual that I did speak with and walked around with who used to be the director for the pumpkin run. So
Dave Dunleavy?
Dunleavy, thank you. Yep.
Yeah. I had no idea Park and Rec gave money toward that.
Yeah. We give a donation every year, and it's a $250 donation. And the motion from last July or 2023 July, that the minutes read it. So to me, I was like, oh, that we give a donation, and I didn't realize that a government agency provides a donation to a nonprofit, which that's fine. I was just very, very interested to know that this is the only nonprofit we donate to.
It's more like a fee.
Yeah.
It's a fee for them to
It's
run
more like a fee.
It is. I mean, it's a fee for
Yeah.
them to run the fun run.
Yeah.
you
And I
know?
mean, they take on the registration, which is fantastic. It's all integrated into their registration system. So the youth registration is taken on by them.
And it's free up until a certain point. Like I can't,
Right.
it's like a week before or something like that. And then they start collecting a fee,
Correct.
if I
Yep.
remember correctly.
So,
So we're subsidizing it so it can be free for many of the local
Right.
kids.
yeah.
I mean, it is a big town wide event, and I think we should continue it. So, make a motion that we give $250 toward the pumpkin run. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kate. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? The ayes have it. All right, Matt.
All right. Thank you. And then the next thing is our logo. Does anybody want me to put it on the shared screen as our logo, or does everyone have a copy of it? Heidi's holding up a copy. Happy to share it on the screen if needed.
So this is just basically reaffirming that because we've already kind of approved it. We asked for a change from the
Right.
original designer.
Yep.
So this is just sort of reaffirming this is what we like.
Yes, this is just reaffirming what we like, which is, boom, there we go.
There we go.
So how do we like it? What are our thoughts?
Anybody have any comments or to have a motion to
cover-
accept the revised logo?
Yeah, it covers everything for Parks and Rec. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
I think
great.
I think it's awesome.
It's much improved, so.
And he was also, is he able to give you a black and white version so that when you go to embroider it, you can just do what, like one single color?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes,
cool.
yes. Yep.
cool.
It's great.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the revised logo. Is
Second,
there a second?
Heidi.
No second?
Heidi said second.
I,
Heidi
Oh,
said second.
Heidi, okay. Sorry, Heidi, I didn't hear
Okay.
that. All those in favor?
Hi.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? We're good.
Matt, could
Thank-
you like announce that on social media and
Absolutely.
and just give a little bio about the designer? Because I'd love for him to get a little props.
How dramatic do you want me to be? Do you want me to like black out everything on Park and Rec page and then at noon
No.
tomorrow it just all do a Starbucks reveal kind of thing? We could totally do that.
You do whatever you want to do,
We
though.
have we have the holiday cup coming now. Go like pull Starbucks if you want. So. No, but thank you all. I will definitely I'll promote it on social media and I'll send it out in our e-newsletter and then or in our constant contact, and I'll include a biography on Connor, who was kind enough to generate this, and I genuinely appreciate all the effort that he put in, and Ashley, who was the second place person for our logo, and then the KCS students for voting on it. So and for
Yeah, I
us,
would definitely
thank
mention
you, everyone.
Ashley as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's
Oh, I
good.
definitely will. So thank you all. Thank you, thank you.
All right. Are we done with you now, or where's my agenda?
Sounds like you're like, are we done with you? You can go. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm all set on my directors and financial report, so we can roll. into
Okay.
this.
Old
Well,
business.
and now, well, 8C, you had one other.
Oh yes, 8C. Thank you so much. I appreciate you reminding me. Yes, 8C. The addition of the money for the stage. So with our concert on Thursday last week, we had 64 attendees, which is fantastic here at Town Hall. But some comments that I heard from the band and from the sound folk as well, adding 3 extra panels to our 6-panel portable stage, making it 12 by 12, or even just having it be 10 by 12, or sorry, 12 by 12, or expanding it out a little bit and then having one little nubble at the top would be fantastic to allow for the singer to move around, for the band to stretch out a little bit so they're not confined and pushed together in one small little group on an 8 by 12 stage. But it did offer enough room to perform. It's not as comfortable as it would be if it was a little bit longer. So I'm looking to purchase 3 more panels from the company I purchased the panels from, which is Stage Drop. With everything included, the 3 panels, the 8-inch risers, and the shipping, it would come to a total of $1,512.94. So I'm asking the commission's approval to purchase the additional 3 panels of the stage and for shipping at $1,512.94.
I'll
So-
make that motion.
Thank you,
Is
Rufus.
there a second?
Claire Love says second.
Claire seconded it. Discussion?
Can we use this, Matt? Can we use this for the pumpkin run as well, or not?
Oh, absolutely. We can use this stage for a wide variety of things.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Oh, absolutely. The stage, after standing on it for setup for the band, there is so much use for it. Oh,
Great.
yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather see them have enough room to take a few steps without falling off in the middle of a song or something. trying to hit the
What's
high
it-
C or whatever they're doing.
That's a good point, Rufus.
So,
Seriously.
all right. Any other comments? Can we have a vote? All those in favor of spending $1,512.94 for the additional stage? Aye.
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 And opposed? Abstain? Ayes have it. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, old business. 9A, discussion about the RFP for tennis court resurfacing. You have two drafts.
Yes. The reason why I have two drafts is I just want to discuss both with the commission as options. Both are feasible options. However, there are some factors I want to consider when we do the tennis court resurfacing. So pickleball, hands down, is going to be added in. That's without a doubt. When it comes to the side, moving the tennis courts and moving things or moving the courts themselves on the concrete and just repositioning them in different areas, when I was doing some research, I've noticed that the guidelines for tennis is 12 feet away from the walls for the tennis court to have a little bit of buffer room. So if we were to rotate the tennis courts 90 degrees and slide them over and add two individual pickleball courts, we wouldn't have that 12 feet. And then if we do that with the pickleball courts, we wouldn't have the 10 feet on the sides for them either. So I just wanted to talk to the commission a little bit. I do like both ideas, but it's a recommendation from USA Pickleball and USA Tennis to have that 12-foot and 10-foot, buffer zone. I can take your point.
Which is kind of important for certain shots or certain, the way you do need that. And I researched it after John had talked about maybe moving them. And I looked up tennis court, dimensions, and it's not just the court itself, but so what we've got is basically to the recommendations of, with that extra space. So I think it's probably not in our best interest to reconfigure the tennis courts. But we can probably get several pickleball courts with net, not permanent nets, but nets that we can take up and down easily.
Yeah.
Go on
There
either side.
There are nets that exist that are on wheels, and we can have them wheeled out and we can have them pushed to the side so that they're pushed away so that they're not interfering with people when they play tennis. I was speaking to some folks that play pickleball amateurly, and they're in amateur leagues, and they say a lot of towns just have the wheeled out ones. The ones that we have are great for indoors. The portable ones, we can use them outdoors, which is perfectly acceptable, but having ones that are pre-built and stable and stay there that just wheel out and around are a good alternative to have instead of stationary built-in pickleball nets. Also, in addition to that, the way that our tennis court was built, there is some concern that we would have to have RNS come out and designate where we can drill nets, because they did put in a suspension system with rebar into the concrete. So they'd have to mark where we can drill. So if there is a feasible area where we would want things to be put, they would have to designate and say, yes, that's a great spot, or no, you have to reconfigure. And that is a note from Leslie in the file from 2014. And then it continued on to 2017 when we redid the tennis courts as well, that they reinstalled that system so that it wouldn't crack. And if we do drill and we hit the rebar and we break it, the tennis court itself would crack.
So I'm confused. I read through your bid in draft 1 and draft 2, and I honestly did not see a difference. So are we talking about one tennis court and 2 pickleball courts? Is that what the proposal is?
So one of the drafts recommends rotating the pickleball courts and adding them in. and the other one recommends that we would just paint pickleball lines. Wanted to discuss with you guys the number of pickleball lines, so we can go ahead and add in. We can do 2 pickleball courts, 1 per tennis court. We can do 4, 1 on either side of the nets. We can do up to 6 pickleball courts on our court.
Okay,
So that is an open conversation on the number. The limit is 6. The minimum is 0.
so, but what Rufus is saying is it's probably not a good idea to rotate the courts.
Yeah, that
That's
was
what I'm
in,
hearing.
not to rotate.
Right, so if we don't
that was-
rotate, how many
That was
pickleball
draft
courts?
1, Lynn.
Okay,
It had moving and rotating. Draft 2 removed the rotating.
okay.
Yep. Draft 2, what we can do with that number of pickleball courts, we can do a minimum of 0, maximum of 6. If we do 6, it would be 3 per side of the tennis court. It would allow for a 10 by 10 buffer on either side of the court. And if we space it out with 3 on either side, since the court itself is 120 feet by 108 feet, and the pickleball courts themselves are 20 feet by 44 feet, we would have ample room available for the pickleball courts to be in existence. There would be a lot of line painting over the current pickleball lines or current tennis lines, so it might be a little confusing if we have 6. But if we do 4, what we could do is 1 per side, and we can have it the same direction as the tennis courts are currently, and then just have the kitchen and playing side on one part of the pickleball court be buffed out a little bit from the tennis court.
And then you would have the portable nets that you could roll out. Is that what I'm
Yes.
understanding? So you would just leave the tennis court nets up all the time, but then you'd have to roll out the nets.
Yes.
Okay.
And we definitely need replacement of those tennis court nets. They are not in the best condition. They were over tightened for a while, and I noticed when I got hired on that there was a little bit of there were dips in the caps of the tennis court nets, and those dips are from over tightening. So we need to replace those posts, and we need to replace the nets themselves and buy new nets.
Hmm.
So I figured when I looked at what would come with packaging for resurfacing, new tennis court nets are a common thing that are purchased.
So I
And
think,
we-
go
And we
ahead.
have do we have capital funds for that?
So we have $20,975 for a tennis court resurfacing.
That may or may not cover it, but we'll see what the bids are.
Some bids that that Jared received were between the $6,000 to $16,000 range for this exact project. So it should cover it.
Yeah, and then a couple grand left for your nets.
Yep.
Yep.
So it should cover it.
So the decision really would be, do we put, I would say realistically, we should be looking at either 4 or 6 pickleball courts painted on, because there are 2 people per team or 4 per game, 4 per court. And if we only do 4, that's 16. Aren't you getting more than that?
We just had 20, not this past week, but the week prior we had 20, or 19, which was fantastic to see that number, or 20, but we are seeing a variation between numbers, honestly.
Yeah.
Not gonna come in that much different with a 4 versus 6. So you might as well get as much recreational space out of it as you can and go for the 6, I would imagine.
We should probably have, like, they can probably give us like an overview of what the lines will look like on the courts with 4 or with 6.
Would you guys like a
I think
visual?
the biggest thing would be how confusing the lines are. I mean, they should be of 2 different colors.
Right,
But
agreed.
it's like, can you configure it so that you don't have 2 lines like 2 inches apart from each other that might be confusing to people or whatever.
I
Right.
agree, Rufus. I think we should see the overlay because we don't want it to be too crazy and confusing. I agree.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree too, because I'm having a hard time visualizing what it's gonna look like.
I can definitely provide an overlay of that, and I can. Would we want an overlay before we go for bid?
I think you could go for bid,
And you could have an alternate, right?
Yeah.
You could have an
yeah,
alternate of 6 versus 4.
and people could show us as part of the bid, they should be able to give us the overlay design.
And
Uh,
when we used to do lines at the park district I used to work for, they would do the tennis lines in, you know, the typical color white, and then they would do pickleball in whatever color the court was. So it kind of blended in with the court. You could still see the lines, but then you're not getting, it's not as confusing.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
I like that, Miranda. Thank you. Ooh.
So I think we should go with proposal draft 2. I think that is not rotating. And ask them for their design for 4 pickleball courts or 6.
Yeah, like, I think
Yeah.
the wording is like an alternate bid of 6.
Yeah.
So you could see how
Yeah.
it's different.
And then down the road, we're probably gonna have to look at a shed or something to store things in. The little Rubbermaid thing isn't gonna be big enough for a variety of roll-on nets and things like that, so. Maybe we could get the Boy Scouts to build us something. If we have Boy Scouts, I don't know whether we do or not.
Yeah, they're still a troop.
We do.
Although I think they're now just called
Yep.
scouts because
Yeah,
they could have girls in them.
we could definitely, you know, put something out there for that.
Yeah, we definitely can.
Housatonic's ag program also does a shed building project every year. So they typically do like a run-in shed, but if you approach them with an actual special project, they might help us out with that as well.
That'd be a
Ooh.
good idea.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it's part of their FFA program. So
I like that. Thank you, Jordan.
I'm just gonna say for the orientation, I don't know if it's possible to keep everything north-south, but that's generally better as far as sun in your eyes goes for any, you know, sport, tennis and pickleball.
Yeah, we definitely can do that. And if we do 4 courts, or sorry, 6 courts, that would have to be north to south for pickleball. 4 courts, we could do north or south, or we could do east to west, but generally I agree, Miranda, just because of the orientation of the sun, north to south is the best way to do the courts.
We could rent special glasses for those who are looking into the sun. No.
I think there's a lot left from April. I don't think they'll work as well, but they might be good.
So what's the process of getting an RFP out? Do you have sources or do you just reach out to specific companies or?
So the next steps would be to
I'll be back in a second. Hold on.
Marty
Keep
for posting it.
Can you repeat that, Matt? You're like
to just
breaking up.
have them assure that it can be posted. Yeah. So the next step would be to talk to Marty, Joyce, and Barbara about posting it so that we can get it posted. I do have some companies in mind from who Jared reached out to prior to his time leaving. And then I can also promote this on CRPA. I can promote it to other, I can do some research to see who else is around in the area that builds tennis courts or resurfaces them, just to share the bid with them that there is interest and just highlight that there is a bid out for the tennis court.
Just a reminder that the selectmen approved a new motion that legal notices have to be posted on the town website in addition to going in a newspaper. So
Yep.
just FYI.
Do you remember that one?
Good.
Yep.
And just so you know, Lakeville Journal is a lot cheaper than the Republican American.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So should we entertain a motion or should we?
Says discussion and possible action. So I think we should entertain a motion that we're good to let Matt move forward with an RFP for the tennis court resurfacing, asking for what it's draft 2, using draft 2 with the idea that we're going to get alternative bids for 4 or 6 pickleball courts painted on.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Good to go, Matt.
Awesome. Thank you guys. I will get that out ASAP so we can get these tennis courts resurfaced.
Okay. B, drainage and splash pad, ARPA, fun projects, Kent Commons.
Woo. So the drainage, I'm working on that RFP at the moment. I'm gonna connect with Justin Potter for Kent Affordable Housing to walk around the property just so he knows what we're gonna be working on and what our drainage concerns are. And then I'm also working with Rick Osborne on writing the final proposal, getting his feedback so that we can express exactly what we need for drainage. I have heard feedback from both John and Rufus, so thank you so much for your feedback on that. Right now we're looking at the swales that are behind the tennis courts going along the border of South Commons for the Kent Affordable Housing, and then also the drainage by the road by Route 7 and South Commons where it does go over into the land trust area. Also looking at the drainage along the graded paths because there tends to be a little bit of washout from those paths when it does rain. So I'm going to walk the grounds a little bit more with the folks and then finalize the RFP to show it to the commission in September for that work. There are going to be the options of breaking it up and having it as multiple different projects, or we can go ahead and just RFP it as one big project. So that's something we can discuss in September and just to chew on that for the time being. Any questions on the drainage? So I'm going to roll into splash pad then just to talk about splash pad a little bit. I did provide some information in our shared drive about the splash pad ARPA grant that was received. So I did put in just the information on the statement of work and then the payment terms and provisions, just so that the commission can see what the splash pad money is specifically delegated to. If you would like, I can share it for now, unless we just want to talk. Does anyone want me to share the screen so that it has that information available? Yeah, okay. Let me get that up. So way that this is written, I'm sharing it. Do you see it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so I just wanted to talk about the $100,000 awarded by ARPA is to cover the 2/3 of all-inclusive package for the splash pad tree pad. So this would include just the items to build it. So the material, so the pipes, the structure itself, the design the designed items that we have put onto the splash pad. The rest of this is supposed to come out of capital from what Jared had wrote in the grant or in the ARPA grant request. And that money that it totals up to $150,000, and that $150,000 was the intention to move from the pool project at Emery Park over to the splash pad at Kent Commons so that it could be constructed. We are hitting a little bit of a roadblock with this. If we were to construct the splash pad, right now this $100,000 is only dedicated to the materials itself to construct it. We do have money in capital for 2029 for $250,000 for the splash pad. So we would have to pre-fund this, or we'd have to find some grants, or we'd have to find some donors. This money does expire December 31st, 2026. And this money did already, I know that last time I did talk about ARPA funding and going through Congressional Act to have it retransferred. So the money would have to go back to the state and the legislature, both the House and Senate would have to vote to reallocate this money. This money was reallocated from Emery Park, and then it was allocated to the Kent Commons splash pad. So this is the second grant that we have received. I am concerned that if we do ask for a reallocation and then we ask to change the project, there are a list of folks who are looking for money from ARPA. So if we do we would have to send this money back, and there's no guarantee we'd ever see it again. So I just want to update the commission as to the status that we're at with this. We could pre-fund this with the money that's already being taxed from folks, and we can vote as a commission to then ask the Board of Finance for that pre-funding. We can find some grants, we can fundraise for it. I know that the $150,000 with the way the pool project is looking at Emery Park, we're going to want to keep it there. So I am open to the conversation with the commission as to what we would like seen done to assist with the funding of the splash pad. So I'm going to leave it to the commission and open up the floor for conversation on some thoughts on what we could do moving forward. I'm thinking grant funding and fundraising are truly our options. I think capital I would like to wait on because I'm currently structuring out the master plan for the parks. I'm also structuring out the next 10 years for the parks, and I'm looking at the capital plan that we currently have and just exploring what things are being funded and what could be changed, pushed back, and department could be.
You're cutting out. Matt, you're cutting out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
You
Well-
just keep cutting in and out.
Your connection, it's not,
I'm sorry. This is the town hall
something's going on.
connection.
At one point, I know you said you
Town
didn't
hall
want to,
Wi-Fi, so maybe it's just sharing a screen.
Matt, I know you said you didn't want to talk about the capital plan, but at one point we had talked about reallocating the money for the Emery Park playground, which I believe is $100,000. And we wanted to talk with the Board of Finance about using that a little differently, like for, if I remember correctly, it was for drainage and for master planning.
Yes.
Maybe this is a better use of that money since that money already exists in the capital plan, $100,000. because we don't want to lose the state ARPA money. And
Right.
the other thing I wanted to say is, my understanding is that Jared did not really fully explain this grant to the commission. So,
No, he didn't.
yeah, so
No.
this was something he worked on himself. So people didn't really know what these documents, they didn't know these documents existed. So,
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to share transparently with the commission.
Yeah.
I know that this is coming from an operations perspective, and after speaking with Barbara a little bit, the money when it came to commission vote wasn't necessary because it wasn't town taxed money. So it wasn't revenue received by town individuals paying for the town tax in order to fund the department, which is why what the commission exact regulation, and when it comes to programming and the price for programs and revenue and setting the budget and setting expenses and approval of expenses is generally bubbled around. This money is coming from the state and it was more of an operations aspect. So it went through the selectman's office and went through Gene and Jared working together on this with Barbara. However, I feel
not
that
very transparent though.
yeah. However, I feel it is important to be transparent, especially since the commission does oversee with myself the operations of the parks and the management of the parks per our bylaws. So, I feel that it is important for me to share this information, discuss with the commission, and to answer Claire's question about if the community wanted a splash pad. The past 20 years, there has been an interest in the splash pad. 2 decades ago, March 2 decades ago, there was a vote in the town about a splash pad and the Emery Park pool. And this exact situation that we are in now happened 20 years ago. Except there's a little bit more added. There's movement of the fields, and there's a whole making Emery Park the hub versus Kent Commons being a hub, and redesigning Kent Center School Field. So there's a lot of conversation 20 years ago that was a little bit different than today's, but one major topic is the pool and the splash pad. So to bring something 20 years ago, there is interest in the community. I don't know if there's a dying interest we can poll, but I don't want us to lose the ARPA money because this would be a great capital opportunity and park improvement opportunity for Kent Commons. But also at the same time, is this something that's logical based on the size of Kent Commons, based on the availability of Kent Commons, and the amenities that we could offer based on what is already in. We're being taxed for a basketball court. We do want a dog park in the location of it for accessibility purposes. The size of Kent Commons is pretty limited. The areas that we have in Kent Commons they're within there's a small area that I did put into a document that I shared that said area. What I shared it as the area for splash pad, dog park, for basketball court. That's the unregulated area that's currently undeveloped. Everything else is regulated either by inland wetlands or by the Housatonic River Commission. So we'd have to get approval from both of those. And for me, like a splash pad, I don't think I would get any approval from inland wetlands in a wetland zone or in a flood zone because that would destroy it. Basketball court, I feel we'd be putting ourselves at risk by putting something in a flood zone or an area that might have highly saturated soils. And we might have to improve the way that the basketball court looks, and we might have to improve just the physical structure of it a little more frequently than not. So, I feel that it's great for what we have, but
I mean,
So
my feeling is that we already have a basketball court. Or, I mean, Kent Center School has the one that they have the indoor court in the winter, and then the one that Seth MacFarlane donated outside of the school, which obviously can't be used during school hours, but has always been open in the evenings for teenagers and adults to use. So I'm less inclined to think that we need another basketball court. That's my own personal feeling. I'd rather see us concentrate on splash pad or dog park, which are things that people have been asking for that we do not have at all. So that's
Before
fine.
you guys, before you guys make any decision, I just want you to come up to Emery Park. There is an alternative that we can combine the splash pad and the pool into one unit. So if anybody wants to come up there and talk to me about it, I'll show them what's involved. But yeah,
But
I think,
John, have you guys looked into the regulations of a splash pad?
yes.
Because when I did the survey of different places that actually had a splash pad, it was almost every single place that I talked to in Connecticut, they were not reusing water. They were using fresh water. And there's clearly was a lot of regulations related to splash pads,
Yeah,
meaning you need to have a bathroom nearby. So
Which we
and
have.
not an outhouse, a bathroom with running water. So
We
it's
have.
Which we don't have at Commons right now or at the playing fields,
right.
which Emery Park did get approval for a septic in 1989. So that's something that when I present the capital plan or present my plan next month to the commission, that's something I am including as a bit of history just with the parks. And that's something that's a bit, definitely of notable interest, is that a septic was approved at Emery Park in 1989. So
Are the regulations the same now?
they're similar. There have been some changes, but again, it's just exploring what the regulations are and what we have. But it was approved, and it was part of the master. It was part of the Kingsmark plan that was submitted in 1988, and the DEP recommended where to put the septic and the septic field. So Emery Park had a lot of possibilities in 1988 with the septic, with pavilions, with bathrooms that are freestanding, with showers for those that were going to rinse off before they get in and out of the pool. So there's that conceptual design that exists that we can work off of, which is fantastic. And Kent Commons right now just doesn't have the bathroom. Emery Park had approval for it, so that's a bone structure that we can work off of, and at least a jump point. Kent Commons, we can explore that option for sure. So I'm open to whatever the commission would like to discuss in the direction we'd like to take. I'm not asking for a decision tonight. I'm just, happy to answer any questions and happy to really talk more about it.
no, there are too many questions. Options to make a decision tonight, but
Hey, can I ask a question? And I'm sorry if this was made clear before. This $100,000 that we have, this ARPA funding, it is designated for a splash pad and only a splash pad. And if we change it, then we have to resubmit.
Yes, so if we change it, we have to resubmit it to the state, and then we have to ask them to reallocate it to us. However, there is a long list of, or just a list. I'm not gonna, don't quote me that it's long, but there is a list of towns that are looking for the ARPA funds from the state.
Right,
So
so
they
if we say, you know what, scratch the splash pad, we're gonna use this money for something else, we would then
we can't.
we'd risk losing it because
Right.
we'd want, okay, I get it. Sorry,
Yeah.
thank you for that
I think
clarification.
always my concern with that too is that I don't see it as us losing that 100,000, in that we have to put out $150,000 in order to get it. So it's kind of like this is a coupon. So
Yeah.
that's $100,000, but we have to put in 150. That 150 goes a long way for us to have a swimming pool where at Emory, or a swimming pavilion, a swimming space, where perhaps, John, I was over there with Matt, it could be a potential of down the road putting in a splash pad, but it is a place to cool off and splash around for all of our demographics, not just the 2 to 8-year-old set. And so I could never say, let's add an additional $150,000 for a splash pad in the Commons, when that same $150,000 is almost our entire pool at Emery Park for all of our demographics. So I don't see it as us losing that money. They were just gonna give us part of it. And if it goes back as good stewards to our state funding and another community uses it for something else down the line, when we ask for something the right way, knowing all the data and giving them all the data, then maybe something will come our way. But I don't see it as us losing something when it's going to cost us so much in order to put with it.
Well
two
said. Good
cents.
point. That's a good point.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
great.
good point. But these figures that Jared came up with, are they grounded in anything, or did he talk to an engineer? I mean,
So when I spoke to Barbara about this, she mentioned that Jared had some folks who built splash pads in New York, and this is the rough numbers that they got and what they were operating off of. So this is based on the vision of what it would look like to build the splash pad. And not to mention, we're just telling, when it comes to building the splash pad, that $100,000 is only used towards materials. So we would have to find some bid. We would have to get some quotes as to what the remainder of the splash pad would look like. And my genuine concern is we do have the $100,000 for the in our best interest to keep that money at that park if we want to do any other sort of improvements, whether it do be the playground, whether it do be some sort of system that's at the park that we need to pull the money from and create a better plan. And plus that means we'd be out $50,000 that we would have to somehow fundraise. And speaking with some folks when it comes to the Emery Park Pool, and as the subcommittee makes decisions and it goes ahead and really focuses on what the next steps will be, because we are close to being done with the research phase, we might need that $100,000 to fix the feeder pond. So it comes back to the question from 20 years ago: should we have a splash pad or should we have a pool? And that, I feel, is where we're currently at with part one. And part two is, do we keep this money for the splash pad, or do we do good service and give it back to the state and give it to another community in need?
I mean,
It's yeah.
Keep cutting out, Matt.
yeah, Matt cut out completely. I think if it's almost like we should have people who have either put in splash pads, another park and rec commission who's done it somewhere, come and talk to us about the unexpected expenses, what tripped them up or what went smoothly in the process. And I mean, I'm open to either place. It certainly would if we put it up in the corner underneath South Commons. By doing that, we'd have to be going in and we'd have to be doing drainage work up there that will benefit the rest of South Common, the Kent Commons Park.
Yeah, I was gonna say, guys, like I think there's way too many questions maybe for tonight. But I was
Yes.
wondering if we might think about, like, all right, what's the what's the definition of a splash pad? Could that money be used to enhance whatever ideas that we're having for Emery Park? Fountains on the side of it or something for sort of water, what's the word I'm looking for?
Water feature.
Yeah, like a water feature or something like that. Could we somehow use it in a way that's not going to be technically what everyone thinks of as a splash pad, but something else
Or
having to do with
Kate,
water
going on
spurting?
what Kate's talking about, could that money cover the building of a septic system and the bathrooms that are needed to go with a splash pad.
And could we use this state ARPA money at Emory? Could we find out about that, or is
We
it
definitely
totally?
can't. That
we
is
can't-
that I know for sure we cannot do. Whatever the project is slated, so that whatever the project is, we have to use the money for that specific project for what it is detailed to be, because the grant is specific for what is written for the schedule of fees. So it has to be for the materials and it has to be at Kent Commons.
That's too bad.
I
Going
know.
off of what Rufus said, if you did or could use it for the bathrooms, could you also put some sort of storage room in for your tennis court?
Equipment.
Your,
Equipment.
things and storage unit? So could you combine your shed project with your bathrooms potentially?
I can ask Barbara for a little more detail on that.
Yeah.
I can definitely investigate and let you
Or
guys.
even if it would cover materials for drainage to put in a splash pad.
I can definitely ask. But I know from what the conversation has been and the direction of the conversation, whatever it is designated to be based on what was asked of for the money is what we can use it for that specific project at that specific location for that specific thing.
Yeah, but when
So
I
that's
talk to different.
Very
mun-
finite.
Yeah, when I talk to different municipalities about their splash pads, they pretty much all said to me, you can design a splash pad for any budget. So,
And that's what I got to from when we were both talking about it back in March and April. Yes, absolutely. We can definitely design it to what our budget is. So
so maybe some of this stuff could be scaled back and it wouldn't have to cost quite so much.
But then is it
Is
Over,
there a design plan or is there anything? Like where these numbers are just essentially pulled out of the air, right?
well,
these are
he
based
talked- he-
on recommendations from Jared's colleagues in New York that he interacted with.
But we
about-
don't know specifically what they were,
No.
like, was it, we don't even know the size, right?
Yeah, we don't know size.
I
As
think
someone who used to live in the city and like my kids loved splash pads in the city, but like the reason you go to a splash pad in the city is because you don't have a yard and a sprinkler. Like I struggle a little bit with like, do parents and kids actually want splash pads in Kent? Because like I think about my own, I mean, you go there, they get wet, and then you have to get them home. And the way you're going to get them home out here is in your car. So it's just like the logistics of it all seems, without us hearing from the community that there is actually a desire for a splash pad, I struggle a little bit to be like, oh yes, we should just double down on this grant because we got it. It feels to me like we should lay out what are the different options of how we could invest money, whether it's into a pool or a splash pad or hiking trails or more playground equipment or whatever, and use that insight from the community feedback to drive our investment strategy, as opposed to like, we got this grant, now let's throw more money after it to build a splash pad that we don't even know if people want.
I think it would be good to come up with a lot of information to back this up.
Yeah.
Have a presentation, do some meetings, some public information meetings, and get some feedback from people. I'm with you, Claire. I think there's probably a lot of people in the town that would love to have a splash pad, but we need to hear from them and we need to feel good that there is strong support. And not just, we think there's support.
Would
I
it
know my
be?
kids would probably be in it every day, but I'm just one person, so.
But that's
Would
good.
it-
But I think it's just like thinking through like how would people want to use it, and like what are the different things that we need to think through and get like that real voice of the customer kind of feedback.
Yep. Agreed. Thank you, Claire. Definitely agree with you on that. And, in the same token, maybe it might be worthwhile that we Park and Recreation TV show style host a town hall meeting where we allow for folks to come and open discuss. In the past, it looks like there were votes by the town that we facilitated with the select people. So maybe it might be worthwhile just that we have an opportunity for us to open up the meeting room and we have an open meeting, post it as a special meeting for Park and Rec. People can come to the town. We'll obviously advertise it weeks in advance, and people can come and voice their opinions and give us feedback. And we can do it both hybrid. So we would have the virtual option for people to chime in, and we have the physical option for people to come in and talk. So I think it's time to have it.
I
It
like
would-
that idea.
I do too. I mean, and I think it also would be good to do outreach, like have a session at Kent Center School. So where the young families are, you could have another different session there where people could share their thoughts.
I
Definitely.
agree.
Definitely.
So you can't just have one session. And then
Yeah.
maybe you follow up after the information shared with an actual survey and say, okay, we've shared the information. Here's the information. Here's the recordings of our meetings. What do you think about this idea?
We could definitely do that. Yeah. I like it. And do we want to pick a date for?
I think you got to get your information together. I think you've got to
You want
talk to
to get the
some,
information together and then we can
Yeah.
go ahead and town hall style? Okay.
yeah, I think you've got to kind of verify this information that Jared came up with to make sure this is accurate. And,
So.
and
But I do
and
think
do
if you're
that
going to do
or-
a town hall, it should be broader than just about a splash pad, right? I mean, I think it would be
Oh,
great
yeah.
to go ahead and get feedback on a whole range of different things and understand like relative importance of different potential investments.
Absolutely. Agreed.
people are going to want to talk about Emery Park. As soon as you open up this discussion, people are going to want to talk about Emery Park.
Yes,
That's-
ma'am.
yeah.
Yes,
Happy to have
ma'am.
conversations about splash pad, about Emery Park. I'm happy to have a conversation about you name it, we'll have it. So
But you got to have numbers. You know, you got to have numbers of what is it going to cost? What's involved at Emery Park? What are the numbers?
yes.
You know,
I
that
am
kind of thing.
actually I'm working with the subcommittee on that, and that's gonna be part of the subcommittee report. So I'm actually working on those numbers for how much it's going to cost. I have Candide coming out this Wednesday to give me finite numbers on how much it's gonna cost for the pool construction. I'm looking into how much it's gonna cost to build a brand new pool. I'm looking into what the cost would be to renaturalize with the subcommittee. So I am pulling those numbers as hard numbers to share as data, and that's why we're still in a research phase. But that's what I'm doing. So yes, I'm pulling numbers to have exact concrete answers so that I can just share it to everybody so we can make an educated decision based on what we have.
That sounds
I
great.
wonder if you could get a splash pad company to come and give us ballpark figures
Yeah.
of what
There
if
was-
we did something at Emory and what if we did something at Kent Commons?
Yeah.
And, you know, we're neophytes, so let us know what we haven't even thought of yet. You know.
Yeah.
And then we're a long way from actually asking for a specific bid, but we need some expertise. We either do that or we, like I said earlier, we might go to a Park and Rec commission that's already been through this and see what they can advise us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I will definitely there is a group that worked with Leslie. And when I reached out to them, said they're going to provide some numbers, and they were still looking at the time for information from when they talked with Leslie last. And this was prior to this was either prior to or during the pandemic for the splash pad itself, for construction of a splash pad and how much it would cost. So they should have an estimate. I'm going to reach out to them. Their Rain Deck is the name. So I'll reach out to Rain Deck to see if they still have our information and see if they can provide us with what they have. So that's a great jumping point. So absolutely, I can definitely reach out to them again and connect and see if we can get some numbers as to an estimate from one company and then maybe another company, just kind of rough estimate what we're going to be working with. So
I think we need to move on
yes.
because all we're doing is coming up with more and more. But we need to set something up.
Yep.
That will garner information both from the town and from possible constructors, you know.
Yeah.
So,
No, absolutely.
good. All right. Our next item is
Roof, roof, roof.
Dog park. Can the dog park go in the flood zone?
Good. We could definitely put it in the flood zone. But the flood zone is the walking trails. So we'd have to alter the walking trails. Or we can have them go around and just do, take out the middle walking trail and put the dog park there. We could do it at Emory if we would like. That is a location. I did speak to Lee Soul and got some feedback from her, and she strongly didn't advise us to build a dog park because of the amount of strain that it could put on us with dog disease and then also with aggressive dogs. So
She
we
does
would have to
not like
regulate it.
that.
She likes the one in Salisbury because it's privately owned and it's regulated by a private entity. If it's town owned, we would have to open it up to everybody in the town. And when it comes to enforcement, who's going to get called? Me or Lee?
Huh. Interesting.
So
Glad
there's,
glad you
Interesting.
talked to her.
yeah. So
Interesting.
so I'm definitely open to the concept, but I definitely think it might be, I didn't ask Lee if she wanted to come tonight and she said she might be able to make it. So she's not able to make it tonight to have the conversation with us, but I think it would be wise to have Lee Soul come in and talk about this a little bit more because she is the dog expert in town. I think it would be fantastic for her to really talk about it with us and even, not to either sway us yes or no, but if we do go with the yes decision, the best practices that we could be involved with, and then the no, if we do go no, why? So I think it might be beneficial to have her come and be a guest speaker at our next commission
Our
meeting.
next meeting. Great. Yes. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Good. That was quick.
I'm up next.
Okay.
Yep. John, you're up next for A and B.
Yeah, so basically, Matt's doing a lot of paperwork where he should be doing other things as besides that. And it's tying up a lot of time, and we're coming up to a point where we need to explore some a lot of money that could come in, so either donations or something like that. We have a lot going on, and we just need to take them away from that writing of the minutes and stuff like that, and just putting them over, giving them the main problems at all. So I suggest that that we try and get a volunteer to be a secretary for Park and Rec.
You mean one of the members?
Well, whether one of the members, or I know it's not in the bylaws, but I would suggest that we use that now because there's so much activity now that he's brought in that he's just running ragged. So
Well, I'm thinking that almost every department
as a
has
secretary,
secretary that's paid. Board of Finance, whatever. And if we had Matt give us what he thought would be the proposed hours, we could submit that as part of our budget for, moving forward. Maybe we start with a volunteer, but I think it should be a paid position for X number of hours with these specific duties, whether it's, creating the minutes from our meetings or whatever. Because I don't think that, and I was always this way, I don't think the director should be creating the minutes for the meetings. That's not his job. And it really shouldn't be. So I would
Hours do you think now?
maybe take it a step beyond looking for a volunteer.
20 a month,
I'd say 20 a month.
20 hours a month?
15 to 20 a month.
It doesn't
For
sound like.
one meeting or
feasible.
for all your subcommittee
Well, that's the
meetings?
thing. It's all the subcommittee meetings too. So we're factoring in bylaws, we're factoring in Emory Park. So I know bylaws, we aren't as, Emery Park, we were consistent. We started to taper off. I know we're probably gonna go back to being a little more consistent. And then bylaws, I know that we're probably gonna be wrapping up soon, so it shouldn't be a freestanding committee for that much longer. So I would say maybe we start with 15 a month. And then we go from there.
I mean, there's also, and Claire points out, registration administration that a secretary could help with.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, whether you're looking at 10 hours a week. I mean, your job should be more with the big picture of things rather than the minutia.
This is why
And-
we wanted a recreation leader, folks.
Well,
So he
to
wouldn't
count-
get stuck doing all this stuff.
I counter that because if our recreation leader was our camp director, they would be at camp for 40 plus hours, 40 hours a week, and they wouldn't be able to do any of this. So all summer long would be me doing all of it, which is the exact same situation. What would have happened this past summer where Becca was our camp director. If let's say that we had a person that was our camp director instead, I would be doing that work. And that's exactly what I've been doing. So a rec leader is not an efficient model for even just summer programming. Plus, we'd have to factor in full-time employee paid time off. It just is not efficient. And I don't think a full-time person in this department is necessary. I strongly
second
stand against
full-time
having a
person.
I
Yeah.
think that having thank you, a second full-time person. I strongly stand against that as the department head. I do not see the value of having a full-time person besides myself in this department. Yeah.
But you could have a part-time secretary who's putting together the minutes, but is in the office for set hours, who
Yeah.
could also answer the phone and do registration, aid, help like that. You know, I mean,
Genuinely, after I identify what I have, I identified what I need assistance on? Absolutely. What I've identified as work that could be passed off to somebody? Absolutely. I've done that. I do that monthly. I sit down and look at what I've done monthly and evaluate what could have been passed off to somebody, what could be work that I can definitely take on. And when I look at things like I do genuinely appreciate doing the minutes. I think it's helpful for me to recall exactly what happened in meetings, but it based on the amount of time that I spend on them and based on the other priorities that I have, to me, doing the minutes interrupts a lot of the things I have to do and I have to set focus on it. The registration system that would be great assistance with. And then looking at it in the future, I know I said exploring how to write the intern job descriptions and possibly have interns for when it comes to hosting programs and interns when it comes to social media, interns when it comes to collecting B-roll and collecting photography for social media and for all of our promotions because we're very limited in scope as to what we had in the past. So I'm running off a very minimal amount of camp pictures for last year to promote this year's camp. Whereas this year, with having Smug Mug and a bunch of other things, it was wildly helpful to capture all that imagery and to have those promotional opportunities. So to me, it would be wise to have just a secretary for right now that works 15 hours a month that assists me with minutes and then assists me with the registration system and collecting data. And I feel that that would be having someone report to me what the data is and report to me with the minutes. I can go ahead and send those out, and that data will help me understand and analyze and be able to lead the department and set those expectations and to really set the vision of what our commission and what the department's doing instead of just getting tied up in the small details. So it's more of the executive level leadership instead of just doing the frontline, middle, and executive level. It allows for me to just focus on exactly the vision and the mission of the department and focus on that executive leadership.
Could you carve out some time from the program assistance and use that money for doing this type of work?
Yes. So when I asked for that extra $2,000, that was included was to provide extra work that would need to be covered. So that would be the sports programs for the youth on weekdays after school program to have someone there present. This would accompany for any other sort of projects that would need. So I know minutes were possible options. So this is something we can do with a Rec Aid. So we do have that money available right now for part-time employees if we wanted to utilize it for someone to do the secretarial work. Maybe we can ask someone who's already hired by the department to take this on if they're
I'm not
interested.
sure you want a teenager doing minutes.
That's the
And,
thing.
and the thing is,
yeah,
the pay is only like 50, it's only minimum wage. You're probably gonna have to pay somebody a little bit more than minimum wage to get decent minutes.
yeah.
But I
So
was
we-
just thinking that pot of money, you could use that pot of part-time employee money and create a new job description.
Yeah, I definitely would love to do that. And I can chat with Barbara to see how, like what a range is currently for our clerks at the different commissions and how much they're paid. And then I can go ahead and structure a job description asking Joyce for what we have already for job descriptions for clerks. Modify it so that it makes sense for park and recreation, and then present it to the commission.
There's not a whole lot that just do minutes. They do more than minutes.
Right.
So the only one that just does minutes and agendas is the Board of Finance clerk. And that person gets paid on a per meeting basis,
Gotcha.
which ends up being like, I think it's about $1,500 a year.
Okay.
So I
I
don't
do-
know if that's the right way to do it, but that
Yeah.
you could get more out of somebody if you're paying them an hourly rate versus just do the minutes. You could
Yeah,
get
as
the
like
help.
an administrative assistant.
Yeah, like you could get the help with registration and that kind of thing.
That's also a broader term, so you're not stuck to like one job
Right.
description. You can kind of fan that however you need to.
Right.
I mean, that would be, the two things that we would need would be a job description and the hours and
Yeah.
the third thing would be the pay rate. But I think it's important, and I wanted this before, Park and Rec director is an executive position and should not be doing everything. And if we can find, figure out the number of hours that would cover maybe not all of the other stuff, but a good portion of it. I think and it would be part-time. It would not be a full-time job.
And maybe the subcommittees would just have to do their own minutes.
Yeah,
It would really be focused on the commission meetings. That's one way around it.
Yeah. We could definitely look at that, and I can go ahead and create the job description. I'll meet with Barbara and Joyce, and I'll share it with, first step, would you like me to share it with bylaws subcommittee to then go to commission to selectmen? Or would you like me
Sure.
just to present it to here and then selectmen?
I think it's fine to go to here because it's something
Yeah.
new and different.
Definitely, yeah. Cool. Thank you all. Thank you, John, for presenting that, and I will do the research on that and have it presented for the September meeting.
Well, I just gotta say that we've had so many people come up to Emery Park and say, you guys are doing a great job. Not only of the park, but the park manager, and that's you, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. No, I put in the work at the parks. More than happy to do it at all three of our parks, more than happy to do it on our programs. So I definitely want to focus on just enhancing everything that we got and just making sure that we're sustaining what we have. So thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Next item, Kent Center School playing field update. I'm sorry, Rufus, did I jump ahead of you?
no,
Okay.
you were A and B, so go right ahead.
Okay, so B is, we need to fix that backstop, and we have 30,000 in there. Is that right, Matt?
For,
The back,
there is currently no money in the capital fund for Kent
baseball
Center
field?
School fields. No, there's nothing.
Oh, wow, where did that go?
There was some money allocated as part of the budget, though.
Yes, and that's for the field maintenance.
There was a portion of it that was supposed to be for a backstop.
If we continue the conversation, I will double check our budget, but to my understanding, that wasn't in our final budget.
I
mean,
think it
'cause
was
it was-
part of the notes.
Right, it was set aside, that 30,000 was set aside.
Mm. Well, I don't think it was that
I don't
much,
know
John
whether
Grant. It was
maybe
a
we-
small backstop.
Okay. But whatever you can find out would be great. I mean, because we need to do that. It's falling apart. It's not, we're gonna be really safe anymore, so I'm doing that. It's not there, is it?
No, we have money for KCS ball fields. It's the $30,000. However, that's utilized for the field maintenance. I can go ahead and I'll talk with Barbara to confirm all that, but that shouldn't cover the entire contract that we have signed with the company that comes out and does all the field maintenance. So
Right. Yeah.
let me talk with Barbara about that total for the 30,000, and then
The notes that we gave to this, to Barbara and the selectmen say infield clay, top dress soccer fields and small backstop.
I think John's talking about the big backstop.
Yeah, I don't think we had any
Yeah.
money for that.
Okay. I
yeah,
thought we
that's
did.
that's what I thought you were talking about too, John. So I was like the 30,000. That's why I thought it was the 30,000 capital for a backstop. So I apologize. I was like, I know. So yes, for the 46 or for Department 46000, which is KCS ball field maintenance, that includes the notes that we have included. So I apologize. I was a little confused on what we were talking about. But yes, we don't have money in capital for a large backstop. However, that is something we can definitely have a further conversation on. And I can keep in mind when I make a presentation to the commission. But a small backstop I know is in what we put in for the budget request for the what you call it, Board of Finance and the selectmen.
Okay. Okay. That's good for me.
Okay.
11.
So that will bring us down to the subcommittee reports, bylaws subcommittee. I know you want to try to get another meeting together, Matt, and
Yeah, we haven't been able to have a meeting, so there's nothing yet to report to you guys. The way the bylaws, the current bylaws say, the draft has to be presented to the commission in writing 7 days before a meeting.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm hopeful that we can have a meeting, the committee can have a meeting, wrap everything up, and then get it out to the committee before the September meeting. So I
at
just need
least
to
7
know,
days before this.
right, and I just need to know, I need to hear back from folks to find out when we can actually have a meeting. But I don't think we should spend time right now dealing with that. People could just respond to email, that would be great.
So the 16th, we'd have to have, the committee would have to have its report to the commission by the 9th. So it would be best to try to have it this week or next week.
Or even the first week in September, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're close, right?
Yeah.
So. Okay. So get your availability. Lynn, did you send that?
I did.
Out
I
to
sent it.
everybody?
I sent it to email, by email to everybody.
Okay, so
So, and Matt
please
shared his
respond.
availability.
I
And if
apologize
all-
that I'm limited in evenings right now with programming. I'm at programs, so I can't necessarily do evenings. So I do genuinely apologize about that. So if the if subcommittee can meet on an evening time and I can't, I understand, and I'll just have to, provide feedback in writing prior to the meeting. So totally understand it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So, Emery Park Subcommittee report.
John, do you want me to take the reins on this one?
Go ahead. I thought you were gonna talk about the dog policy here.
Sure. So I did put in our shared file a recommendation on dog policy as a draft. The subcommittee voted on allowing dogs in the park, only permitted on leash, not permitted in the fenced in area around the pool. I do want to just let everyone know that this decision was a split decision. It was a 3-2 vote. There was concern on definition of where dogs can go in the park. The trail, there's 100% agreement from the subcommittee that it makes sense to have dogs on the trails. The other part of the agreement with dogs in the park was just based on the location. So playground is of concern, having them off leash running around the park is of concern. Obviously, the pool area is a limited area that we can't have, or the swimming area, the gated off swimming area is somewhere we can't have them. So it's open to topical discussion to the commission as to what we would like moving forward. This is the recommendation from the subcommittee. However, I do just want to advise that it is a split recommendation with not full unanimous agreement.
And it was approved by the insurance company, correct?
Yep. We are per Kerma, we are allowed to have dogs in the park on leash. Just some background too, the subcommittee to talk about not having dog bags at this park because we don't have a trash can. And then if we don't have the trash can, we don't have the bears, we don't have the problem with wildlife coming in. So if we eliminate, since it is the woods, eliminating that specific item and just having carry in, carry out, it would assist with limiting the amount of wildlife that do come in, especially if we are proposing a camping policy as well. And just eliminating what we already have with wildlife.
I know it might seem silly, but do we need to say that you have to pick up after your dog?
Absolutely, we do.
It's not part of your policy, though.
So that's why I just wrote the policy based on the past motion. I
Yeah.
wanted to construct it a little bit more. So yes, I
Yeah.
think that having pick up after your dog as one specifically, yes. I think adding in no dogs on the playground area and in the fenced in swimming area, that should be the defined area. And then, anything else that we want with the dog policy, happy to entertain it. Specifically no dogs while camping if we do go the route with approving camping for Emery Park or camping at Emery Park. So
What was the last comment? No dogs if you're
No.
camping?
no dogs while you're camping.
Why?
That seems to be a common thing amongst a lot of campsites.
Can you do both? Can you bring up both of the policies? So because there's a little bit of a crossover with the dog policy and the camping one for our discussion, and then we can vote on them separately?
I can roll into both. Yeah.
Does because there's the conflict of you can't have them while they're camping and then the different designated areas, just so that we can put both policies on the table for discussion.
Yeah.
For the crossover.
Is that okay with the commission?
So if there's somebody who wants to camp, Matt, and they have a service dog,
That's allowed.
that's
That is
allowed.
always allowed. Absolutely. It's
As
just
long
not
as-
that I can bring my dog
Yeah.
to go out.
Okay.
Because what if they go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and what if some dog poop is left behind? If dogs are there in the evening hours camping out, it might entice animals. So it's possible. Yes.
Yeah, so that means that's the crossover in there, that you can't have them while you're camping. But it says that you can camp for 2 days, right? So if you can just say dogs are only allowed the sun up to sundown, always on a leash, and never in the playground or in the fenced in area, I think that'll cover it.
And you must pick up after your dog.
Well, not
Yeah.
on a wooded trail, but you can put it out there, they have to pick up, but usually it's picked into a wooded trail. I mean, that's reality.
I think it might,
Yeah.
just to entice it, just to limit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You don't want, in the grassy area, you don't want poop, though.
Yeah, no, we
No,
definitely
you
don't.
So you might as well just say you got to pick up after your dog. It makes it easier.
Right. We expect civilized behavior.
We expect and hope. We really hope for it. So cool. So the proposed policy that I would like to make to the commission, based off the subcommittee's recommendation, commission discussion, is dogs are permitted at Emery Park on leash. Dogs are not permitted in the fenced-in swimming area or fenced-in swimming area or on the playground. Dogs are permitted in the park sun up to sundown. You must pick up after your dog.
So moved.
Yeah, second that,
Second,
triplet.
And just a quick amendment, or I don't know, takes effect immediately, correct? After approval?
Sure.
Okay, just wanted, just as I unveil some stuff like the logo for the department, I think promoting that dogs are allowed in Emery Park might be of big interest to the community, so.
Yep.
Based
Yeah.
on our policies. Well, so thank you, just inquiry on it.
John, you move that with that last change.
I covered all my changes.
Okay,
All right,
And I
was any
second it.
changes effective immediately was a change? Or no, that's just inquiry.
Yeah.
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 So, okay.
Heidi, you had your hand up?
No, I'm ready to say aye. Yeah,
Oh.
that was
All
just,
those in
you go
favor?
and say aye. Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Last one, guys, come on.
Let's go, let's go.
Okay,
I'll share this quick because I feel that is of importance. So the camping policies. I did copy or not copy, I did reference a few different camping policies that different organizations have. One popular one that's local to us is Steep Rock. So Steep Rock had some great policies when it came to camping. They had a maximum and a minimum. They had arrival time set and departure time set. They had a fee associated with it. It had information on who to contact. You must remove all the tent pegs, just everything that's listed in the policy. Do you guys want me to put it up at all, or do you have it available to you? Happy to throw it up on the screen quick if needed.
I read mine.
I
Yeah.
read mine.
Yeah.
Did you talk to Steep Rock about how much supervision is required?
They do have someone on call if there is an issue, and they do have people
Mhm.
that just pop through. So if we do have anticipated camping, I think it would make sense for myself or another staff member or commission member to pop on through, and we can create a schedule that's rotating for that. Maybe it might be wise for us to have information on like maybe have an on-call phone and maybe get a talk. I can talk to Joyce about connecting the Park and Rec office phone to a cell phone as well as the office phone, because for state parks they do that, and for the state they have their office phone number also has a cell phone number, so it could be reachable both at a mobile and a desk phone, so that if we do need to have an emergency, someone's on call because they're camping, they can pick the phone. So
and I think that it, depending on the emergency, it shouldn't just be Park and Rec number. There should be, state police or, Litchfield Barracks or,
yeah,
you don't know what the emergency necessarily is, but
right.
that could be on the paperwork that they are going to fill out.
Yeah. And I think it should include that. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then just minor changes that I would like to make. Instead of just saying 7 days, it should be 7 business days, so that it gives me the opportunity to review it when I'm in office. So if they submit it on a Sunday or on a Saturday or on Good Friday, and let's say there's that time off, or they submit it on Christmas and that time is not available, or they submit it on a day where we have a longer period of time when the office might be closed, it will give me the opportunity to review it at a little bit better time frame instead of just having it must book 7 days in advance, book 7 business days. And then
Makes
just
sense.
having some, it will help with Labor Day and 4th of July and Memorial Day. So
Makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the only thing I did not include in this is who can camp. The recommendation from the subcommittee was authorized approved camping. So having nonprofits, having groups that might be doing search and rescue, or might be taking a course at Emery Park, might be doing if the scouts are learning how to camp, or the scouts are doing something, or if there is like a search and rescue training that is happening locally and they want to camp there, or we facilitate that kind of program, or a wilderness remote first aid program that is contracted and facilitated. Things that if Boy Scout, Scouts, Girl Scouts, if there's a group that wants to, that might be doing something that is authorized as a nonprofit,
done.
is
Almost
best
done.
interest of the community.
So only group camping, not an individual family.
Correct. That was what we discussed at the subcommittee level. However,
I think you should, if you're gonna go with that, you should call it that, group camping rates. Because that's more specific than just camping. I don't know how the rest of you guys feel. I think it'd be less intensive that way. I can just see like,
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound disparaging in any way, but I could just see, Appalachian Trail hiker wanting to camp there for some reason, and
They have done it in the past.
but I just think it could be onerous on the staff if it's
Yeah.
not a group camping situation.
Right.
I mean, these are
Would it
definitely
be a requirement that you have to be a resident or a landowner here in town?
I think yes, but I think it might also limit us, because if we do have other groups that want to come in, while I'm exploring programs, I'm exploring a search and rescue program to offer, and that individual I would teach it doesn't live in the town or the state. So, but they would offer it as a community program. Or if there's someone that, if there's a group that might be passing through like another group of scouts and offering it to like a New Milford Scouts because they don't have a place to camp, or
Okay.
Cornwall or Sharon if they have a scouting group. So I feel offering it to resident specific might be maybe adding a non-resident price. More than happy to add an increase of fee, resident group versus non-resident group. Is this group formed in town, or is it out? Is the mailing address outside of town? We could do it that way.
I'm
Okay,
guessing you're not gonna get that many out of town groups.
I don't think I will.
Yeah.
No.
But you might get, something like from the high school. Technically, they're a regional, but they're out of town.
Yeah.
They may want to do something.
We need to get a bear box and proper fire ring, so there are designated, so is some cost that would be involved in setting up a camp, even a minimalist campground site.
And I know I looked at some bear boxes in the past few months.
We just pulled them up too.
They're like,
1,500,
they're about
2,000.
they're 1,500 to 2,000
Yeah.
for the bear box. Lynn, I remember a convo with you that we had about the bear boxes at Kent Commons at the court potentially.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was shocked about how expensive they were. And
Yeah.
I still can't get over it, but I think that is definitely an expense that will be incurred, and I think having the proper fire pit will be incurred. The fire pit that I purchased for use right now that we used at the meteor shower party, and I will be using at other programs and events. It's great. It's small. It's 19 feet in diameter, 20 feet in diameter. It's cool to touch, which is fantastic. So if you touch it, you're not going to get burned. If you put your hand in it, you will. But if you touch the metal on it, you won't, which is fantastic, but it's small. So maybe that's something I purchase as well. But I know bear box is something I would need commission approval to purchase since it's over $1,000. So I think that right now, maybe we just, if there's any other discussion on the policies or any modifications we'd like to make based on, I know that it says like, you must be a resident or you have an increase of fee for non-residents. I think maybe saying camping fee is $20 per night for the group. If your group is not located within the region, there is an increased fee of $15 per night or $10 per
How are
night.
you gonna define region though? That's more challenging than if you just.
Region
say-
would be, we can define it as the Region 1 schools.
Maybe just go with the way it's written, and as we find problems, then we can come back to revise. You don't know who's
Yeah.
gonna access it, so you don't wanna tell somebody they can't when they end up being a very good partner for recreation. So
Right.
maybe just leave it as is, and then if we need to change policies going forward, revisit it in 6
Revisit it.
months.
I like that. And then also in addition to that, if there are any changes administratively, I should make them if needed, as policy falls under the admin end.
I like that.
How much does it cost for somebody to camp in Macedonia?
I think it's 25 a
the
night
state
with two.
park.
It's 25 to 40 for
I-
a 2-night minimum.
Yeah, they have a 2-night minimum.
Yeah.
So you have to camp for the 2 nights, and I believe you're right, it's the 25 or
20
25 to 40. I
20,
can
yeah,
double check
depends.
that
It
number,
includes the
but
Tonic Meadows as well.
So I don't, we don't want to go beyond that, but we don't.
Well, except for
necessarily
that's per
wanna
site.
undercut us.
That's per site though, because you could have the, what did you have for your minimum? You
We-
could have 10 different tents coming for just $20. That's only $2 a tent, the way we have it written. Because it's $20 for the whole group,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas in Macedonia, if you come with a group of people, you're gonna have to get like 4 or 5 different sites.
a little more expensive.
Right.
So maybe we're not, putting
But you want to make it affordable if it's going to be a group, a local group.
right. True.
Otherwise, why bother to do it,
I also need to, I didn't define in this policy what a group is, so maybe definition of the group might be a great way for us to navigate this, and then that would solidify what we're doing.
What is,
Gratuities always welcome.
what does Steep Rock do?
They open it to, I believe, everybody.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought maybe having the authorized groups would be a great start, and then we can go ahead and explore what we can grow into. I think that having it as just groups locally, like nonprofits, and having like the Scouts, having a search and rescue group, offering it to, let's say that there is a crew that might be coming off that might be doing AmeriCorps work, and they just need a place to camp for the night. It's a great opportunity for them to be there. Or maybe there's a group that is nature enthusiasts incorporated, and they just love nature, and they're here in town, and they want to be able to enjoy nature, and they want to camp with their group for a night. It allows that opportunity. Unless we want to define group as either a nonprofit, organized nonprofit, or group of residents in the town. We could go that route. I just really
I
wanted
like adding
to.
in residents, so that you can have like a family get together or a family camping thing. It is our park.
Yeah,
So if I had, my Peace Corps reunion and all of us have decided to go over there and camp and go back and forth to my house, et cetera, then we could do that. And otherwise, if
Yeah.
we're not an official group, we're just a group of people.
right.
We
We do have to be mindful too, based on recreational. If we're exclusive, we then have to provide the opportunity and fairness to those that do not reside in the town. So maybe going the resident route might not be the best first step.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's also why we were thinking about this too. So maybe a group would be what we came from the subcommittee, an authorized nonprofit or a group of individuals who have a purpose.
So just going to drink.
An authorized, a purpose authorized by me or, at my discretion. So it's not like we have a bunch of teenagers that are gonna go camp out because they want to be teenagers. Or we have a group of, college graduates that want to go drink in the park.
I think it's fair
It
to
would
just
make sense to,
go forward with it and tweak as you go along, because you don't know who's gonna, like you said, you don't wanna eliminate people, and if it comes
right,
to the point where, you get too many requests, then you can find out where the problems are. Take it
Yeah.
from there.
so amend the policy to recognize that a group would be a formally organized entity, either a nonprofit private group, or a group approved by the approved at the Park and Recreation Director's discretion.
do you guys all believe that that's necessary? I'd like to hear from some other people. I just think we might be getting into the weeds. I tend to agree with Heidi. It's like, we don't really know what we're gonna have until
Right.
people start reserving.
Right.
Kate, Jordan, John, what do you guys think?
I think we've all fallen.
Uh,
Go ahead, John. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I was just being sarcastic. I was just saying that I think we all fell asleep.
Hmm.
We're frozen.
Do you think the group needs to be defined?
No,
No,
as long as it's not political.
There you go.
I think give it a try and see
Well,
what
they
happens.
agree with
And
me.
then if you get swarmed with things that you feel uncomfortable with, then we'll talk about
I
it next
could-
month.
yeah,
You know?
I
Yeah.
think totally.
Yeah. Perfect. So then I'm making a recommendation for a motion to the commission to approve the camping policies as presented, including must book for 7 business days instead of in advance.
And are people gonna be able to do this online or no?
Yep, they'll be able to do it through MyRec. So everything would be put through MyRec. They'd have to create a MyRec account and they would have to fill out a questionnaire upon applying for
Yeah.
camping.
And along with that, and approval to purchase the bear box.
Bear box, and
the-
then
And the ring.
the ring, and also I would need an emergency phone. So having an emergency phone placed on site with connection. We already have a solar panel at Kent Commons Park that we can move.
A phone, wait, we would provide a phone?
We would need to provide an emergency phone, right?
Why?
God forbid if they don't have service on their phones, if something happens.
But people go hiking without, and we don't have to provide a phone.
But they're staying overnight, so it's an increased risk.
I don't think that,
I know Steep Rock.
I think
provides
they
emergency
should be
phone.
responsible for,
Yeah, they have to provide their emergency contact to us. What phone will be there? That should be part of the,
right.
I want to investigate that just a little bit more.
like a cell, like a burner almost that you think can do.
No, I think like a stationary box phone.
Oh, gosh.
It's kind of like something that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can just
yeah,
go
like-
over to and just make a call.
Like you have
God
the
forbid something's
university
happening.
blue thing.
Yep, like the university blue light thing. Just something just in case, God forbid something
Not
happens.
only that would be
Yeah, I'm not-
awful
I'm
to have
not-
on that road anyway, on these back roads, when you're losing cell service, I would love to have one of those like spots, like if there was an emergency, like.
Yeah.
where you could get
Yeah,
to
but
it.
I don't, that sounds like a major investment
Mhm.
and I don't know that that makes sense. You
I,
know, you're talking, I'm guessing we're gonna probably have 5 different groups camp in a year. I'm just guessing. And
right.
that, and I don't wanna sink the town into spending so much money for just such a small program.
Well, what do you mean? Define so much money. It could be a
Well, the
literal
bear box sounds
box.
like it's a lot of money and
Like,
this
Right.
phone.
There's
sounds like
service,
a lot
there's
of money.
service at that, there's service there, right? There's cell service with the area that we're talking about.
There is all the way up the top.
Yeah,
I
but
would-
not at
I'm
the
with,
top.
I'm
We're
with
talking
Lynn,
about
I'm
in
with
the,
Lynn on this one. I think you have to have a working charged cell phone. I'm with Lynn.
thanks, Kate.
Yeah, I think that's their responsibility.
And we can
But-
always, if this is a huge program, then we start installing phones later, but at this
Yeah.
point, you have to have a charged working phone.
Yeah, and even the bear box, I mean, if you go camping, isn't it your responsibility to make sure that your food is secured and a bear can't get to it?
Yes and no. For example, the Adirondack parks, they require you to have the bear canister with you, but they do provide bear boxes. The Appalachian Trail, they provide the bear boxes for you to put the food in. So,
I think that bear box is a really good investment for that park, so that next year when maybe the kids' camps can go over there, or they can tuck their lunches in there. I mean, I think if we're gonna use it consistently, the park, that is an actual very good investment. 'Cause
I
the food
agree.
is
Could we
ridiculous.
get a grant to pay for a bear box though? Is
Oh,
that,
they're
is
about
there such a thing?
$1,000, so. Well,
I can look into a grant for it, but I
Just
feel that
seems
if we're gonna,
I think that just keeps campers safe, that keeps your kids safe. If you're there on a picnic and you're there for a picnic and you decide to go up on a hike, you better tuck that stuff away.
I think it's in our best interest to have a bear box, Lynn, because then, I mean, we don't want bears thinking that this is a good area to,
No, no, I understand.
You
that,
know,
but-
I think it's in our best interest to not attract bears as best we can.
It's also in our best interest to keep our expenses at a bare minimum. Oh, sorry.
But
True, True, but our expenses are gonna go way up if people start suing us for being attacked by bears because we didn't provide a bear box.
All right. Now let's go ahead with looking into that, but seeing what we can get. Maybe we can get a used bear box.
Yeah. So do we want to pause this until September, or do we want to make the motion now?
I think we could,
I-
I would like to make a motion that we approve camping, and that way, the more information that we get, then I would like to approve it and have it not make any changes that he needs to change in the interim until we can meet again.
Right.
But we are the policy-making board.
This
Matt
is the
can't-
policy that we're voting for.
I know, but Matt can't change policy. We do.
That's a
Agreed.
drawn question because I can change department policy, right? I can change our refund policy, I can change our registration policy, I can change things along those lines.
I thought that we had to set all policy.
When we talked the last time when it came to me showing the commission the policies for the department, we agreed that I had the authority and the autonomy to make those policies.
I did not agree to
Okay,
that.
then I
So-
withdraw my,
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys can do,
And would like to present it as, I would like us to approve as written, and Matt can give us any updates of changes to the current policy that he may have for next time. So I would like to vote to approve it as stated.
Do we have a second to the motion?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any
Does this-
other discussion?
just for
Lynn?
clarification, does this policy require us to buy a bear box right now?
No.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Where? Did I miss something in it?
All food must, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th bullet down, all food and beverage must be placed in the bear-proof box at the campsite. So it is requiring us to purchase the bear box.
Which is $1,000. Well, that's the one I. pulled up.
1,500 to 2,000.
1,500 for the sturdy ones that are there. You can buy just a box to leave there, but then the bear will drag it away.
All right, can we postpone this till next meeting?
Okay, then I withdraw my, my motion.
I understand, or I'm sorry, I recommend a motion to table this item until September regular meeting. I don't know if
Great.
we need a motion for it, but that's my recommendation. So we'll table it.
Yeah.
So I can do more
Okay.
research. Yeah. Cool.
See
Thank
if
you.
you can get a exact figure for a bear box.
Yeah, I was looking at ones between 1,500
Yeah,
and
the one
2,000.
I pulled up was about 1,000, but then you have to pour a concrete pad to put it, to secure it into,
So we have to pour the concrete. Yeah. So
which is actually a pretty good investment for that park in general, though, in my opinion. Okay,
Okay. So we'll table this one till September?
Yep.
You're good with that, Matt?
I'm good with that one.
Okay. So that, I believe, brings us to the end of the meeting.
Yep.
So I move to adjourn at 9:29.
Second.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you all. Thank you, Matt.
Well, thank you guys.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, guys.